Hello, my name is Eric Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about Brahman neither rewards nor punishes. I think it's a fairly ingrained concept and belief within society, mostly due to religions. As priests, monks, nuns, and other clergy of different kinds have tried to get people to be more moral in life, they have always pulled out the carrot and stick. The carrot of heaven and blessings, and the stick of hell and curses. But basically, most people, I think, in general, have kind of a deep ingrained feeling that the books must be balanced at some point, either in life or afterlife. And so they've got an idea of a cosmic judge, be it God or karma or whatever, and at some point it's going to set things right. And this is a myth that is basically just is dispelled when realizing non-duality. Because the illusion of rewards and punishments is based upon two other illusions. One of the prior illusions being that there are separate things, because you wouldn't both reward and punish the same thing in terms of if a set of actions was done and some of it was good and some of it bad, it was the same thing. You wouldn't give them both rewards and punishments at the same time. Usually, we've got this idea that they would cancel out, and so, or a minor punishment might be given. But basically, there's got to be separate things. And the second illusion is that the things that get rewarded and punished are agents. They're able to act. They've got agency and control, and therefore they're responsible for what they do or say or think. And so without these, rewards and punishments don't make that much sense. And in non-duality, there is no other. There is no separation. There are no separate things. And so as there's no separate things, it doesn't really make sense to reward and punish the sole actor, which is Brahman. Why would Brahman punish and reward itself? No. We want to believe that there's a separate thing. And if it does good, it gets rewarded. And if this separate thing does bad, it gets punished. We need this division. We need this separation. We need these separate things in agency to have rewards and punishments make sense. And when you realize the self, Brahman, in this non-duality of no other, you see that there are no rewards, no punishments. And so the need, the craving for the good and just to be rewarded and the wrongdoers to be punished, this is dispelled. This goes away. In fact, you see that they're all just players in the same play. If you're watching a drama and you have the good guys and the bad guys, and you got the main hero and the main villain, and they're doing their thing, and at the end, in some plays, the bad guy wins. But let's say it's a play where the bad guy wins, and end of the play, the ones in the play are not still wishing that the wrongdoers will meet justice and be punished. And they're not all still wishing that the just and righteous are going to get their rewards. No, at the end of the play, everyone is congratulated for a show well done. Everybody played their parts well. There's no need for further punishments and rewards. That only applies in the idea that you're a separate thing, an agent, and so are others. You could even look at it in terms of a dream. I mean, if you're dreaming, and let's say there was a wrongdoer in the dream, when you wake up in the morning, you realize it was all you. The entirety of the dream arose from a single consciousness. The entirety of the dream was created that way. And you're consciously aware as that one dream character, but subconsciously or unconsciously, you're also playing all the other characters because it was all arising from the one consciousness. And so, as you were playing both the good guys and the bad guys, why would you still want the bad guys to be punished? And why are you still waiting for the good guys to get their reward? Once the dream is done, you see the illusion of it, and you don't have that need. And so, I think it's worth delving into. Because if you're still, in the search, or maybe just starting your search, or just encountered these kind of teachings, it might be a bit of a shock. Because, like I said, it's an ingrained thing, culturally. I mean, all of our movies, the just will be rewarded, and the wrongdoers will be punished, and that's what the Bible says, and the Quran says, and all the other books, and that's what all the clergy says, and the priests, and the monks, and we've got this. It's a great game of life that one of the basic ideas is we believe that if you do good, you'll be rewarded, and if you do bad, you'll be punished in some way. And what I'm suggesting is maybe starting to let go or loosen up on that idea. Catch yourself when you are craving or needing someone to get their just desserts. Because I once saw a photo. It was on a spirituality forum on Facebook. And basically it was a photo that was relaying a news story where it was a big game hunter was actually killed by the tiger he was hunting and eaten. And it was actually quite surprising to me how many people were reveling in this guy's death. They're like, that's his just desserts. That was karma in action. All these various comments of, that's what you get for killing these animals for sport, yada, yada, yada. And I went in there and I said, it might be worth observing and perhaps checking that need for vengeance, that reveling in someone's death or misfortune. And I was coming from the standpoint of someone who's realized non-duality. I have no desire for anyone's misfortune or death. No matter how vile or evil the world may say they are, I don't wish for their misfortune. I don't wish that they're dead. Why would one, if it's all one, why would you, and there's no other, it just doesn't make sense. It's this idea that the good should be rewarded and the wrongdoer should be punished that perpetuates a lot of our cruelty on one another. Someone is deemed a wrongdoer in some way, and sometimes they're punished for life. I work in recruiting in HR, and some states are passing laws saying you can't hold, because a lot of applications would have this box. Have you ever been convicted of a crime, a misdemeanor or felony, or whatever it may be? And there's laws that some states are getting in the books saying you can't hold this against criminals or prior convicts. because they're not really criminals. They might have committed a crime, and they paid for their crime by being in prison. But to then make it exceedingly difficult to get a decent job, to be able to rent a house, to basically making life in general difficult from that point on, is not really justice. Matter of fact, it could even be argued that incarceration, or the stick aspect, isn't the way to go in the first place. Because the whole idea is to reform and have them see the truth of what they've been doing, and what the effects are, and how they should have acted. Because, ideally, you are educating. I mean, if it was a young child and they were doing something naughty, you wouldn't incarcerate them for years. You wouldn't give them the death penalty. No, they don't realize what they've been doing. They don't know what they've really done. And I would say a lot of adults fall into this category. Because although once people reach the age of adulthood in the society, it is assumed that you know how to act. But I would say many adults have never gotten outside of childhood. Many adults are still children within. And so, instead of using the stick and beating the crap out of them for their wrongdoing, it would make more sense in trying to educate and reform them. And then, if they were such a danger in society that you had to put them away to make sure others would be safe, you would think the focus, while they were, secluded, the focus would be educating them on how to act, get through their own issues through psychological help, training them so that way they can get a decent job when they leave. Because a lot of these issues contribute to the wrongdoing. There could be psychological issues. There could be the inability to get decent work, and so they might have had to steal. There could be all these other reasons. And instead of just simply locking people up and then punishing them further after they get out, making life difficult, I would think it would make more sense to try to get rid of the roots and causes that got you there in the first place. And so, psychological help, vocational training. There could be a lot of other things that can be done to help reform, re-educate. And if they really are not a danger to society, things like drug abuse, because somebody could be taking drugs and there's no reason to incarcerate them. They're not a danger to society. If anything, you would just need to educate, rehabilitate, and otherwise give them vocational training or psychological help or whatever else to, again, get rid of the issues. Because usually drug use is a form of escape. They're trying to escape something. They need help in trying to address whatever it may be. And so it's a different way of looking at things. But it's getting over this need, this craving for wrongdoers to be punished and the good and righteous to be rewarded. And I think that society could become much more kind and compassionate if it wasn't so focused on punishing. Because that's a major focus. And a lot of times, and I'll just conclude with this, a lot of times people think justice is finding and catching the criminal. But really, justice is ever seeking the innocence of people. And so a truly just system wouldn't have many, if any, people who did not commit the crime being punished, incarcerated, or put to death, which that does happen. There's many, many crimes that have happened where somebody's been locked up, and 20 years later, when DNA testing came about or got significantly good, that they were able to test the evidence and they found out that person didn't do the crime. That's not justice. That's looking for someone to punish. And the point is not to look for someone to punish, so that way the victims feel good. Because that's the other thing. A lot of times the victims, and if you feel like a victim in particular, you're looking for somebody to pay the price, for somebody else to be punished because of what they did to you. We need to let this stuff go. To be kind and compassionate. I think it's more about letting go of this need for punishment and rewards. So anyways, if you got any questions, comments, please post below. But until next time, thank you much.